I want to say I briefly covered this in another video, but because I get asked this question so frequently that I want to just make a dedicated shop tip video specifically for it. In fact, this is among my top 10 most asked questions, maybe even top 5. And I usually say don't add weight to props because I sell props online, link to my Etsy store below, and the heavier the prop is, the more the customer has to pay in order to cover the shipping costs. So I try to make my props as light as possible. But the flip side of that is I'll sell a prop and think, that was heavier than it could have been, they paid more than they needed to, and then they'll get it and they'll be like, oh man, this has a really good weight to it. I'm like, oh, okay, glad you like it. And then there's the whole thing, if you're making props for film, if an actor or a cosplayer even has to carry it around all day, then they'll just be profoundly uncomfortable. It's like actual guns and stuff. Those are heavy. However, there are these outlying reasons why you may want to add weight to props that could hypothetically come up, that came up for me for this one prop right here. For instance, you're filming a dinner scene on a speeding train and the table has to stay perfectly set and not vibrate as the train's moving around. Or on an airplane in extreme turbulence. Or more commonly, you built a prop and you live in a house with pets and children constantly running around, throwing things, and you don't want your prop that you spent 20 hours on to get knocked off a shelf and shatter when it gets hit by a flinging rubber band. So when I'm in those rare instances, such as I built an incredibly top-heavy grail prop, what I'll do is I'll drill a hole in the bottom of the prop and then fill in that hole with melted solder. You might be able to see as I lean in that I'm wearing a mask to protect me from all of these fumes. I think that's from the corrosion because this solder has been sitting for many years. I should probably clean off my iron too when it cools because it's just covered in carbon. I use thicker gauge solder just because it goes faster. You can see as I'm doing this that it's scorching the edges, so I think I should mention that you wouldn't want to use this technique on EVA foam props, which is what I normally build out of, because you'll destroy them. Or if you needed to add weight to an EVA foam prop, I'd almost just take a block of wood, drill holes in it, put that inside your prop, and then fill that with solder. Well, no, fill that with solder first and then put that inside the prop just to add the weight, because this will burn right through EVA foam and plastic. Another option is you could unravel the spool of solder and just literally thread it into the prop without melting it. Like, say the prop is a 3D printed space blaster. That's hollow because print filament gets expensive. Like this print I did of Crichton's Pulse Pistol, Winona. This plastic, in fact most 3D print filament plastic that I've used, melts at half the temperature of solder. So instead, you could feed the solder filament down the barrel until the weight feels right. I'm not going to do that to mine because there's some exposed wires in there, and I don't want to cause a short. But there's nothing stopping you from planning out your project better than me to account for that. When it cools, which in this case could take a while, I took a break to eat, I don't really know what it was, at least an hour. I covered it back up with spackle or other filament. I used Quick Seal here, which is a flexible putty, but a hard putty like Squadron Putty or Bondo would also work. On a prop this size though, Bondo is overkill, so I don't use Bondo. Okay, that's how you add weight to props. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. I literally just made this to clear up a question that people have been asking me for almost a decade. Let me know what other maker questions you have in comments below, and I'll be sure to cover it in a video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and check out all the past content. You know how the things that all the other YouTubers say at the end of the video. All right, see you later.